What's up, guys? We are back here with the Hardcore Casuals, your all-killer, no-filler wrestling podcast. And, we're here today again, podcast number 2. Hopefully this one comes a little smoother. Obviously, we had some bumpy stuff in the first one, but, it's growing pains. We'll learn, first time ever running a podcast, so we're doing it under interesting means, I guess you could say at this point. But from the last podcast after I've listened to it a few times through, I obviously did not say, subscribe to our channel, because that's something you should do. Yeah. And, like our shit, comment, let us know how you feel.
If you don't like it, dislike it. We don't care. That's
totally, yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, any kind of criticism is good criticism, and we can go from there, and, we're going to do what we want regardless, so here's what it is. Right. So, we're going to jump in here, and we're going to hit the week, This is kind of going to be the rundown. Like you said, we're going to hit the shows, Raw, SmackDown, AEW. Like I said, if anything sparks our interest with either NXT or Impact or anything else, going on, we'll hit that stuff too. But, right now we're going to hit the major shows because we don't really watch everything anymore. So we're just going to hit the stuff we're seeing. And that basically we're going to jump into Raw here. And, so Monday Night Raw, it starts out here. They have they're doing the whole, we're going to skip over a few things, but they're basically doing this whole deal with the, for some reason I want to call them the Dark Order, but they're not the Dark Order. I don't know why I keep thinking that. The Edge's faction, Judgment Day. And, they do the whole deal there.
The Judgment Day, Ryan.
The Judgment Day, yes.
Judgment Day.
They had to let us know that, they are the Judgment Day. So,
right. Just like how with WrestleMania Backlash, it is the Judgment Day. Let's not get it twisted.
Here we go with this bullshit. So anyway, Edge comes out, basically cut his hair like his new member. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I get it. He looked so much more stoic with the long hair. It just looked more like he was like, I don't know, different. But I guess we'll get used to it. Obviously, the hair change is different, but it just, to me, it felt like, why would you just do the same hairdo as Rhea Ripley? Like, it just kind of comes off kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If he had Damian Priest do the same thing, I would have died. Like, all these dudes come out here and fucking look like the same. They all look the same, and I just would be dying. I could just picture it in my head. But the major thing out of this I wanted to get to is they are teasing a fourth member. And there's a lot of talk. We've talked about it on the last one, too. We talked about it potentially being Ciampa. We talked about it being anybody. It could be anybody on the roster. But, do you have an idea of anybody else that you think it could be?
I was trying to think of anybody else besides Ciampa, and I really can't think of anybody. I'm just trying to think of, like, more of an edgier type character. I'm trying to think.
You want to hear the rumor? You want to hear the rumor?
I don't know the rumor, so go ahead and let me hear the rumor.
If you want to hear the rumor, I will tell you.
If you don't want to know, pause the video and skip forward probably 5 minutes after we talk about it.
The rumor is floating around right now is Finn Balor.
Oh.
But turn on AJ.
Okay.
So
I can definitely see that. I can see that for sure.
So
that would be interesting.
I don't know. If it's kind of one of those things where it's like Edge kind of starts the faction, and then eventually he kind of works his way out of it because he's not, he's done wrestling. It could be a launch pad for Finn Balor because he's literally the most irrelevant person on all of WWE television at the moment. There's obviously more irrelevant, but it just seems like there's never any there for him. Yeah, he's just a dude, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the rumor. So we'll see. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. We obviously wanted to mention the Edge haircut because it's fucking weird. But at the same time, what did you say?
I said, it's just kind of random. I was just like, we were watching it. My wife's just like, so he just has the same haircut as Rhea Ripley now? I'm like, yeah, why not,
Right.
Yeah, the same haircut as Rhea now. Sure, why not?
Right. So we'll see. That's obviously the rumor, but, we'll see what goes down with that. And heading on from there from Raw, I want to talk about this thing that I actually really liked. Okay, so I fast-forwarded through Raw, okay? I don't obviously sit through it all. I can't sit through all the bullshit. It's 3 hours of just way too much bullshit, honestly. But one thing that made me stop while I was fast forwarding was Theory cutting a promo.
Yes.
Stage. And I thought that was really cool because it's not something that we've seen. It made it look so much more big time because if you look in the background, the crowd looked endless.
Yeah.
It looked like there were so many people there. And on top of that, I was really impressed with Theory's promo.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought he cut a great promo.
Yeah.
I thought he looked good. I thought he had personality. I thought, he's obviously getting the opportunity to shine because Vince likes him. And that's good because, he has the potential to be something. They obviously got to do, give him these chances to do stuff. And I think he knocked it out of the park here. I think that presentation of the promo, and I think that makes WWE look more big time than other promotions when they do stuff like that. So it's kind of something that I would like to continue to see with them. But really, I was super impressed with the promo and as a whole as well. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I enjoy that too, and it really did catch my eye, like in the middle of me just turbo fast forwarding through everything, and I stop and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? So we got a promo on the outside, and yeah, it definitely reminded me. It's very old school. It's something that you saw back in the like late '80s, early '90s of WWF TV, where you'd have either Vince interview or, it'd be Mean Gene interviewing somebody or, fucking, I can't even think of Jesse Ventura, like those kind of old school guys. They would interview everybody out in front of the crowd and shit like that. So I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really old school vibe to it, but I really dug it. And yeah, Theory's promo is great. I think he's, obviously he's being positioned as the guy that they want him to be, and he's really starting to look that part. I still think he just needs to drop the cell phone selfie bullshit. We're going to say that endlessly until he does it, because it's just not going to go anywhere. But, definitely selling himself is a big deal. He looks the part, he acts the part. And so right now I can't say anything negative about him. He's a great worker. He seems like he's like beyond his years in the ring. Like he has more experience than he should at his age. But he's just kind of a natural kind of guy. Again, it's just the shades of like a younger kind of Randy Orton, a guy that just kind of like caught on really quick and just felt like a natural, and that's kind of what Theory's feeling like right now. Yeah.
I totally see that too, and he's definitely got that upstart feel that Randy had when he was like kind of catching fire,
right.
A little kind of catching,
Hashtag blue chip right there.
Hashtag blue chip for sure. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens with Theory, and obviously the promo was good, and the staging was good. So hopefully we get to see some more stuff, more of that, because I will definitely, unpause my screen to see what they're going to do with that.
It adds that era of kind of, it doesn't feel like, because, a lot of wrestling fans are, smart to the business, know what's going on. Like, so many of those interviews and backstage segments are pre-taped, so it's like a lot of that stuff is done in the past. That is like, that's not, BS. Like, that's right there in front of the crowd. So I think it gives that era of kind of like impromptu-ness, and I really dug it for sure.
For sure, yeah. So hopefully we see some more. Because that's one thing that I really enjoyed from this episode of Raw, of the very little things on this Raw that I quite enjoyed. So, but yeah, so we'll jump on the next thing here. So for a while now, they've been doing this storyline with Ezekiel, Elias, whatever they're doing here with this guy, where he's supposed to be his brother. Looks like he has cancer on his face. Whatever it is they're doing with this dude, and they're doing this whole thing with Kevin Owens. I'll give Kevin Owens his credit, because anything that WWE gives him, he turns that shit into gold, because he's just an entertaining person in general.
Right.
But doesn't mean some of the shit in the storyline in general is just not that good. And the fact that he said my brother Ken Owens or some shit. Was going to come out here, and then they did the segment with him. Wasn't he wearing like a wig or some shit?
Yes, yeah.
But I mean, I just, this is the kind of shit where it's like, to me, this is the kind of shit that is not geared towards me or you as a fan. Right. It seems more like a goofy, just like draw in for young kids or some shit. I don't know. Obviously, when we get to AEW, there's some weird, goofy shit that goes on there that I actually enjoy, but it's kind of weird too. But it feels like it's more geared towards me. But we'll get to that later on. But
Right.
how do you feel about this whole Ezekiel Owens?
Yeah, it's just weird to me because I see a lot of people online talking about and praising how entertaining this is, and I'm like, this shit is trash, man. It's just not good. It's just so hokey and cheesy, and we're trying to get over this guy as not being Elias, and we're supposed to. I just like you said, it's just like so like a 90s like shitty kids movie, like Inspector Gadget or something. Like that's the kind of humor it comes off as, where it's just like, we're gonna dress up, and no, I'm gonna say that you're not this guy, but I'm gonna dress up like that. And it's just like, oh Jesus fuck. So I mean, that's great for the little 10-year-olds and stuff that enjoy it, but for me and you, it's just insulting our intelligence and wasting a huge talent in Kevin Owens, because he does make everything great. And, everything that he's been given has really been turned to gold. Obviously, same on the other side and on SmackDown, basically in the same role as Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, who just gets thrown a whole bunch of random shit and he tries to make it the best that he can.
Yep.
Those two guys are kind of like tied together for pretty much eternity now. And that's the same thing both those guys do. They just turn everything into gold. And, definitely praise Owens for his work and making it and committing to it and all that. But, at the end of the day, like, it's just a bad angle. And it's like, it's not good. It's not entertaining. I don't want to see whatever the fuck this Elias thing is. He looks like a generic created character that's just left on like the preload screen that nobody's done anything with. It's just like, it's boring. Like, I don't care. It's cheesy. It's corny. It's hokey. I mean, it's WWE, so I mean, we're gonna fling it and get that from here, or, from time to time. But yeah, I don't give a shit.
I think part of it too. I think the storyline could be good or interesting. I don't think I don't think Ezekiel is any good at all. Like,
no,
in general, like, I don't think I thought he was.
What he's super
Elias
is if we were getting swerved this whole time and we didn't know that Elias had a twin brother, and like Elias never actually trimmed his beard or did anything, and then just Elias came out, and we were like, wait, what the fuck? Like that would be fucking brilliant. If they ended up if there was something where they kept this like in the dark and like, dude, he's got this brother that looks like him, we can grow his hair out, like he doesn't have a beard, like he could shave it or whatever, and then like that would be fucking awesome. But it's not going to happen because it's obviously Elias. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if maybe they do some like crazy cosmetic thing and they put on this fake fucking beard, and then like one night at a pay-per-view, it's like, okay, Ezekiel, come on out, and it ends up being Elias or something. I don't know what they're gonna do, but unless they can pull off some crazy miracle.
But what if they did this whole time that Elias has been gone? What if they filmed a whole bunch of vignettes when Elias was still Elias with his beard, and they just typed those videos in with him with his beard, and then without a beard.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like.
How would they know that he's going to feud with Owen though?
I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're going to end up. What's going to? Because that's what If this was a movie or if this was a TV show, that would be the payoff. The payoff would be, Elias is actually, are they like show up at the same place? You know what I mean? Like it's where it's like something so outrageous where it's like, okay, these guys are never going to be in the same place at the same time, and then they are, and you're like, wait, how the fuck did this happen? But like, it's not going to happen like that. So it's like, why the fuck do I care?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's possible that it could get better, but I doubt it. Like,
there's also a possibility it could get worse.
Yeah, it could get worse, and then we'll have a lot more shit on it. Take a big old dump on the whole thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it could get
great. Fantastic. But yeah, so we'll jump onto something that we actually, I feel like both.
If there is anybody, let's just cut you off for a second. If there is anybody out there in the comment section, tell us why you enjoy it. Like, because I really want to know, like, why. Because I've seen a lot of people that are like, this is one of the most entertaining things on Raw, and I'm just like, what am I fucking missing here? Or am I just not missing anything and people are just clueless? Like, I don't know. But to me and to Ryan, we're just like, what? But I mean, if you are out there and you think it's entertaining, please let us know what you find entertaining about it, because we'd really like to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I find Kevin Owens entertaining, but that's about it. Yeah. So we'll see, and we'll see what happens with that. But jumping on to something that I feel like both of us, one of the other things on this show that I feel like both of us were actually interested in, and that is Alexa Bliss being back.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since she's been back. She was at the Saudi show and then just disappeared, didn't
Right.
come back to Mania. Literally comes out to the ring, and as soon as she walks out there, it literally looks like the most attractive woman on the roster. Just all of a sudden. Like, wow, here we go. At least we have, that again.
Right.
Who knows how they're going to book her. They still have her with the doll or whatever. But she goes out here, looks good. The crowd's excited for her. And I've always liked Alexa Bliss. I never thought she was the greatest worker, but she's always been very good in her role as a wrestler and her storytelling. And that's been something that's missing with some of the girls, where they're not as good when it comes to being on the mic and telling stories. So her being back and being able to tell stories is probably going to be something that I will look forward to on Raw if they do that. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I agree. I was, kind of excited to see that, and it was interesting. It's like a meshing of both characters, like the goddess character that she was previously, and then the Lily, kind of Bray Wyatt's kind of version of the character. Like she came out with the doll, but she came out to her older music, and then she just seemed like she acted like her older self, but with still shades of both. So I don't know. Hopefully they don't go down the road where she's doing the goddamn, therapist shit again, because they tried that and no one gave a fuck. So just have her out there, be, how she was. I mean, the fans want to see her. The fans have been, clamoring to see her back on TV, and, we're finally getting it here. And, I'm the same way. I've always enjoyed Alexa. I always thought that she got, the character down really well. Her in-ring work is whatever. It leaves more to be desired, but she's never been bad. I haven't watched an Alexa Bliss match and be like, Jesus Christ, I never want to see her wrestle a match again. Like I'm watching, fucking, some trash can that just can't do anything. Like it's not how she is. She's okay, but I think she gets the, the larger than life feel. She, carries herself in a way where she comes off like a superstar. So yeah, excited to see her back and see what she's going to end up doing in the future.
Right, for sure. And I mean, is what it is. I've always enjoyed Alexa, so we'll see what happens with her, and hopefully they don't just kind of put her in the corner, or or whatever. There's a lot going on, for Raw and the women's division and a lot of stuff. Asuka just came back as well, so
doesn't it just feel like the Raw women's roster is just completely destroys the SmackDown women's roster with talent? I mean, I know they have a lot of them locked up in tag teams, and they could bring. Charlotte's going to be gone, but then they could end up bringing a Bayley back too if they wanted. But God, there's so much talent on the women's division on Raw right now. It's crazy.
Dude, SmackDown might be unwatchable soon if Reigns and Charlotte aren't there for a while.
Right.
For some people, but
yeah, true.
I mean, it's already unwatchable for me. I barely can watch any of it.
Yeah,
but, we'll get to some of the SmackDown here too as well. But but yeah, so that obviously we were talking about Asuka. They had advertised for this show. They had Asuka versus Bianca, and I was like, okay. I was like, this is something that I actually want to watch. This is a match I actually want to sit through, and I'm excited. Let's do this. And here we go. On WWE, they like to do this. They like to false advertise and tell you, hey, we got this match. Oh yeah, by the way, DQ finish. Like okay. Becky comes out. Obviously, it adds to the story with Asuka and Becky, and we're going to get a good match out of them, probably at Hell in the Cell, hopefully. And that's what it is, whatever. But the point I'm going to get to here is this Raw show, had 3 DQ run-ins. Why? Why is that necessary to tell your stories right now? I get you don't want to give certain people wins. You don't want somebody to get over on somebody. What's the point? At this point, if the hardcore fans who are watching your show, they already know that it doesn't matter. What wins and losses don't matter in WWE. So they had made that clear over time. And, DQs they just feel like they don't want to make somebody look weak or strong. And at that point, casual fans don't give a shit about any of that either. I don't believe. Right. So unless it's a political thing, I don't understand, but I'm irritated with that. Three matches on this show. Granted, I fast forward through them, but literally I would click play at the
what were
end
the
and just see.
So it was this one, right? So it was the Asuka, Bianca, and then I remember it was
Rhea,
the Cody and Theory match. I know
yeah,
they had
Cody,
as
Theory,
well, and then what was the other one?
Rhea and Liv.
Okay, because who got was that Edge and all them got involved or something? Or
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
I
couldn't remember the third one. I remember the first two. I couldn't remember the third one.
And they all continue stories, but it's just like, what is the point of us watching weekly wrestling when we can just wait and then watch this pay-per-view and just see the rundown of what happened for the story and then just watch the pay-per-view? Like, there's no reason to watch any of the weekly shows. I'm frustrated with.
Well, also, and it doesn't make any, the continuity doesn't make any sense, because what's holding people back from doing that at pay-per-views? Like, why does it only happen at a weekly show to set up shit, but then all of a sudden at pay-per-views there's this rule, it's like, oh no, it's a pay-per-view, we can't do it anymore. It's like, well, what? Why are we only doing it here and not doing it there? So it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I totally agree. It is an annoying thing. But I think it's just something that at least me, I've become numb to, because it's a regular occurrence for WWE. They've used and abused that, giving something away and then oh, we're going to get a big match. And then, which I totally knew. I expected that from the fucking Bianca and the Asuka match. I was like, yeah, Becky's going to be there for sure. But yeah, 100%. It's annoying as hell, man.
Yeah, I just don't know how people literally watch. If anybody out there watches a 3-hour Raw, just watches 3 hours of Raw every week or 2 hours of SmackDown every week, I have no idea how you do this right now. It's unwatchable sometimes. The only reason I could potentially want to watch any of Raw is just to see maybe 2 or 3 things. I'm interested to see Cody. I'm interested to see, Cody and Seth have been the best part of what's going on Raw, obviously. And when Reigns comes over and that stuff, but the stuff with RK Bro and the Usos has been interesting. But other than that, and then a little tiny kind of little gold nuggets, just of small things happening, it's mostly unwatchable and it's unfortunate. Right. So I don't know, but yeah, we'll jump to SmackDown real quick here. There was not a lot of notable stuff that happened on SmackDown I really wanted to talk about, but I did want to mention the match between Raquel Rodriguez now. It's going to be a second for me to get that one. Against Ronda. I feel like there was some chatter about this, so I went on Hulu today, actually, and I just was as of recording today on Sunday, and I watched just that match on SmackDown, and then I watched the end of SmackDown. We'll get to that too, but they gave, I guess, which I'm going to call it this just now because it's very fresh in our mind, but WWE's version of the Yuta treatment, where they basically just, even though he didn't, neither won the match, they went out there and looked very good, and that's what happened with Raquel in this match against Ronda. Basically had 85% of the offense in this match, and then Rousey at the end just exploded and did a bunch of random shit and then won the match. This was probably good for Raquel because this was kind of a moment for her here to shine in front of an actual audience that maybe hasn't seen her. She obviously has the size, and she's been, become a lot better worker over time. So how do you feel about this match with
Cody?
I
mean, it's interesting you bring up that Yuta point, and a lot of the, the old school names, the Cornettes, the people like Bischoff, those kind of guys like that, they'll say, well, you're giving all of this heat and all of this momentum to a Wheeler Yuta. He looks like he works at fucking Circuit City. But you look at Raquel Rodriguez, she looks like a potential star. She looks like somebody you want to mold. She looks like somebody you want to put in that position that could actually fill a superstar role. Whereas it's harder for somebody to look at a Wheeler Yuta and be like, that guy? What? So it makes sense that they want to give her a big shining spot here with Ronda. I think they need to come back a little bit on the smiley goody two-shoe fucking look with her. I don't know if maybe down the road they're going to eventually maybe turn her. Maybe they're trying to get that across, that she's this super nicey, and then she's going to snap on somebody and fucking turn eventually, maybe on Ronda. but yeah, I mean, she's got a good look. She's proven that she could work. She's had some solid matches in NXT. She looks believable in the ring, and I think that she has every tool that you would want for a young women's wrestler to be another big star for WWE. And I thought, it was a solid little match, and they did their stuff, and they made Raquel or let Raquel get some nice little shine spots in here. But yeah, kind of interesting, just like kind of throwing her out there with Ronda, trying to get over the it's a typical way to try to get some more face steam behind them, saying I'm going to be the fighting champion and I'm going to have an open challenge, and trying to get the crowd behind her, even though in her opening promo on that show literally people were booing her. So it's like
I didn't even see it. I just fast forwarded.
I watched the beginning of it just to see, because sometimes like watching Ronda promos are so bad it's worth watching because it's so fucking cringy. But yeah, I mean, she literally was getting booed, and I'm just like, oh my god. So they tried to do the open challenge thing, and then Raquel came out. But yeah, so I mean, it's definitely somebody they're looking at right now. Almost kind of like, it's almost getting to the point where it's looking like almost a female version of Austin Theory, where they're kind of like, okay, we see the potential here. We have these other top stars that are already made and already established. Let's kind of use them to get the rub for Raquel. And yeah, it's definitely interesting to see where it goes with her future, but the potential for sure, like you said previously.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see where they go with her, because I've seen some of her stuff in NXT. We've seen some of her matches, and she's got a bright future probably. So, all right. So then we move on to the main event segment here, which was not a match. It was just a segment with they're still doing the stuff with RK Bro and the Usos, and they had Reigns come out there, and obviously with his new deal, there's been a lot of chatter with that, which we'll talk some about that as well. But basically working less dates. I don't know if he's going to continue to work. He's going to work SmackDowns as well, which I feel like Fox is probably like, we got to have you on Friday nights. So it's possible that he'll work Friday nights for a while, but he's supposed to be taking a break. So I don't know what they're going to do here. It's looking like they might be leaning towards doing RK Bro and the Usos. They're doing it a unification match next week.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because we know how WWE works.
Yep.
It could be a DQ, and then they could be like, we're going to do this at Hell in the Cell. Yeah. Which is
right.
Which will be fun if they do that, or they just do another unification at the pay-per-view. But yeah, they did this segment here. They had Reigns come out, do the, acknowledge me and the whole deal, the whole nine, and then RK Bro comes out and freaking Randy hits him with the you're not as good of a superstar as John Cena ever was, and blah blah blah, and just but this was a good. Anytime that the Bloodline's on TV, I'll watch. I'm interested. Yep. I'm interested in Reigns. I'm interested in the Usos, and I'm interested in obviously Randy right now is the most popular he's been in a while.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people are really interested in Randy and what he's doing, and he seems excited and he wants to do stuff, and he's he's intriguing at the moment. And I think a potential big match coming could be Reigns and Orton. Maybe they'll save that for SummerSlam. I don't know what the plan is, if they potentially put the belt on Drew or whatever, but we'll see. But yeah, this segment was decent, and they finally give us the unification match that they say they're going to give us for next week's SmackDown. How you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to go the route like you were talking, where they're going to have the match, and then there's going to be some BS, or somebody's going to get involved, Reigns or whoever, or Heyman or something, and they're going to be like, all right, we're going to take all those distractions away, and we're going to do it inside Hell in a Cell, which I'm hoping for, because the Usos have had one of the best Hell in a Cell tag matches, probably the best Hell in a Cell tag match of all time, when they had that match with the New Day. So, I mean, and then you put Randy in there who has tons of experience, and then Riddle can do it, work the match as well. Great. So I'm excited. I hope that's the route that they end up going. I think they need a big bloodline match if they're not going to end up possibly having Reigns on this card, which is the speculation. Having the Usos and RK Bro and have it be a big match. I mean, if they're going to unify the titles, making it a Hell in a Cell match, it makes it seem like it's a big deal. So I think that hopefully is the route that they end up going. Because it doesn't make any sense to do it on a weekly show. It just doesn't. It's weird. It's like, well, we were gonna have it on a pay-per-view, and then we didn't because we had to change all the shit around, and then, well, we're just gonna do it, next week on SmackDown. And I'm just like, that's just weird. All right. But yeah, I think it's gonna end up getting a screwy finish, and then they're gonna end up going to Hell in a Cell, which I would extremely be looking forward to that one because that'll be some really great stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think. If they go that route and they do it at Hell in a Cell and they do it in Hell in a Cell, which is good, it allows, for storyline purposes to keep Reigns out and keep Heyman out.
Right.
It's just a fair fight in the cell. I think that's a good call. And the unification stipulation. It to me feels like the main event of Hell in a Cell is probably what it's going to be if they go that route.
Could arguably be another one on the Raw side. I see a potential that's brewing for a potential Hell in a Cell main event on the Raw side as well.
Yeah, it's the Seth and
they want to end up going with Seth and Cody possibly. Which either one of those. I mean, if you bookend Hell in a Cell with those two matches as possible Hell in a Cell matches, damn, that could be some good shit.
I know. We obviously have our issues with old Clown Shoes Dave, but did you by chance see his ratings for WrestleMania Backlash?
I have not, but I'm sure it'll piss me off.
Well, it's interesting because probably one of the better rated WWE shows he's maybe done in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, he gave Seth and Cody 4.5.
Yeah, I agree.
He gave the main event 6-man 4.5.
Oh, wow, that's a little much, but all right.
He said on Twitter, obviously, he said it was a PWG style 6-man.
Oh, of course. If that's his criteria, then yeah, of course he's gonna make sure to rate it higher.
And I think he gave Rousey and Charlotte 4.25 stars. So I mean,
wow, that's a little high. But all right. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then some of the other matches were in the high three range too. I think he gave Edge and AJ like 3.5 or 3.75. So that's one of the better reviewed WWE shows I think I can remember.
No, when I got done watching it, I thought it was one of the better ones that we've seen in a minute.
In terms of
in terms of the quality, in terms of the storyline development, everything kind of going on, and it just seemed like a very entertaining, well worked, show that it was solid. I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do with this unification match. Obviously, we're interested to see if they do it in Hell in a Cell. It'll probably be pretty good match. So we're hoping to that's what the plan is there. So next we're gonna jump on to old AEW Dynamite here. Got a stacked card here, man. Got another pay-per-view on a Wednesday, and there's some discrepancies on this one too. It ain't all peaches and cream over here in the land of the independent giants. I'm going to keep calling it that because
that needs to be on a T-shirt.
Yeah, bro, it's what it is. I'm just saying.
The land of independent giants. Yeah.
So it's just
it's kind of like WCW, where like this is where the big boys play. They should say this is where the big little boys play. The little big boys.
Yeah. The big strong boys.
This is where the big little strong boys play.
So yeah, we're going to get on to the first match, which is a big strong boy match, a big strong match, which is the opening first match for the Owen tournament. They had Martha up in the crowd, just going, "Yay! Who are these guys?" And they come out there, and obviously the funniest thing, I sent you that meme, was they basically did the masturbatory Bret Hart match here, the masturbatory Bret Hart tribute match, when the rumor or the story is that Martha and Bret aren't on good terms, and she doesn't give a shit about Bret, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, there's always been some weird collusion and shit in the Hart family.
Yeah, so we don't know what's going on here, but this was a 15, 16 minute just beat off your dick until it gets fucking rubbery with the hardcore tears of wrestling fans here.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is, but it's a good match. It was a good match, and it was, Dax is good, and Cole is kind of good, but they're good wrestlers.
He hasn't seen a gym in fucking 10 years.
Yeah,
dude, and this match might have been the most where he looked like a boy. I'm just like, dude, because Dax in there, Dax just looks like,
He looks like a dad, man.
He's just like, kind of looks like if I look in the mirror. I'm just kind of like, I'm a little overweight. I kind of go to the gym every once in a while, but like, I just look like a dad because I'm a dad.
Right.
Like, yeah. Adam Cole looks like he fucking is a child. Like, it's just like, god damn, man. I don't know what it is. But that transition from NXT to AEW, there's just something different going on there.
Dude, I feel that for sure. But yeah, Cole gets the win here. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's
the best part of this entire match was when they cut to Martha after Cole won, and they're playing his music, and the announcers are all celebrating and say, "Oh, big win for Adam Cole." And Martha's clapping, and literally she just mouths, "I guess," and she just claps, not having a fucking clue who literally any of these guys are or what any of it means. It's fucking hilarious.
I remember maybe she knows FTR and she wanted FTR to win. I don't know.
It just seemed like she had no clue what the fuck was going on with anything, and they're just like, hey, there's going to be a couple of these matches where it's going to be Owen Hart tournament matches, so yeah, this is what we're doing, and you're a part of it and everything, so yeah, just be excited for these ones. And she's just like, cool, but she doesn't know anybody in any of these matches, and just, oh man, some of those little cuts were hilarious whenever they cut to Martha.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with her, if they're going to have her there every week while they're having these matches.
She should special ref the finals.
Oh my god, I would die. That shit would be hilarious. Oh jeez, that'd be messed up. But yep, we don't know. We'll see. So Cole, moving on to the next of the Owen. Next we have Mr. Phil Brooks here. Philip Brooks coming out here. Just wearing out his specialness, man. Just coming out here wrestling, just John Silver. God love him, you know. God love him. He's an entertaining fella, but you don't look special or cool when you go out there and you wrestle a 12-minute match with a guy that most people don't give a shit about, you know. Right. It's just that's the problem with CM Punk and AEW is I get it. You want to come in there, have fun, wrestle dudes, you know, and this might be a very special moment to John Silver. He gets to wrestle CM Punk in his hometown, which is what they said. And, you know, it's whatever. It's like Punk doesn't come off special, you know, at this point when he's literally wrestled 70% of the roster already. Like, it's just like, okay, whatever. But the point I want to get to here mostly is Paige coming to the ring and Punk cuts his promo and he kind of did a callback to his other promo about waking up in the morning and do I want to be a good guy or a bad guy or whatever. He's like, do I want to be champion? And then he's like, and after I beat you, you're going to shake my hand. And then Paige just puts his finger in his face. And boy, I'll tell you what, I'm all about me some Adam Page at this point because I'm about what he's doing here with this shit with Punk, because even though Punk was in New York, he likes to play the heel here. He likes to play the heel in New York. He's a Chicago guy. He comes out there in the Long Islander jersey?
Well, it's New York Islanders, yeah.
New York Islanders, jersey. Yeah. And gets booed out of the building. Booed. And it's just funny because, like, you know, he's cheered like a guy in Chicago, and he just plays this role. As anytime he goes to New York, he plays this heel. And it's just like, there's some confusion here. Like, if you're a person tuning in for the first time, you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
Why does this guy seem like a heel, but he's also a face? And then Punk is like a face, but he's like a heel right now, which some more stuff like that happened on the show as well. We'll get to some of that. There's a lot of confusion with heel-face dynamics in AEW right now, but how do you feel about Punk and Paige right here?
Yeah, so I have a lot of stuff to say about this one. I mean, the first thing, obviously, going from that Silver and Punk match, we need to stop having main event caliber guys having longer matches, competitive matches with guys like a John Silver that are just literally irrelevant and just kind of are thrown into matches every now and then that really don't do anything. He's just in the Dark Order, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, they literally went, like you said, like 11 or 12 minutes. He ended it, obviously, kind of more like a cocky way, doing the buckshot lariat. Like, he wasn't, like, having to struggle or anything. But, like, he should literally be beating him in less than, like, 3 minutes. Like, it shouldn't be this super competitive, long fucking match where he's damn near getting near-falled by John Silver. Like, that part of AEW annoys the shit out of me. But going into the Page and Punk stuff, I think one of the things, like we were talking about with, New York and him playing more of a heel, and then when for New York, like you see MJF playing more of a face. And like we talked about, the viewing audience at home, like if you're tuning in to AEW for the first time this week, you're like, okay, CM Punk's a bad guy. This MJF is a good guy. This Wardlow guy is a bad guy. Like, that's the complete opposite of what you want your fan base to be seeing, and especially getting over these guys, like getting over a Wardlow and, seeing what MJF's been doing, all that stuff. That's another thing we'll talk about, but it goes into also this Punk and Page stuff, because I really don't know what fucking way they're going to go with Punk and Page right now. Like, are they going to have Punk end up maybe going that more side? It looked like he was going to be more of a face, and then he played the heel in New York, whatever. We'll see where that goes, but it's kind of like they're almost both tweeners. Like, they're both just kind of pissed at each other, and they just want to go in and fight, which is fine. But a big thing I've noticed is, like, the continuity of AEW's cards and their shows and how they're built. It doesn't really match up and flow with some of the other segments. Like, they don't work together. Like, you notice you won't have the same things happening, say, on a WWE show where they format their show. You're not going to run into the same shit. Like, you're not going to see the same shit twice. But we got the same thing where it was this New York dichotomy where it was, like, cheering and booing on different guys and all this shit. And Punk and MJF literally wore the same jersey out there at the same fucking place, like, where they just had this big, huge blood feud. And it's just, like, the continuity of these storylines are just kind of whack sometimes, like, when you're looking at it. And it's cool. If you're, a New York resident and you're going to that show and you get to play it up and stuff, like, that's cool. But the majority, obviously, of your audience is going to be on TV. And if somebody tunes in and they're like, well, what the fuck is that? Like, I want to like CM Punk. He's being an asshole to all these guys and all these people in the crowd. So it's like, I don't know. We could just be reading way too fucking into it. But in my eyes, I want to keep everything like what we're going to end up doing in the future. So, like, just if you have a one-off show, if you had a house show, that's fine. Do that kind of shit. Like, do that fun little nostalgic, bullshit, or do that fun little weird thing you wanted to do that happened before, whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, we had something at the end of this. I think there was a video of fucking Hook doing something with Punk at the end of the show where he, like, put him in a chokehold or some shit at the end of it, which is all funny, and they did it off camera. Like, do that shit off camera, but keep your characters in line with how your story is going to progress and how it's going to continue down the road. It's kind of just bugged me a little bit about that. I don't know. But, I mean, what did you think about it?
That's basically, I agree, and I just feel the feud itself is intriguing to me because it seems like Paige is going to be playing the heel and Punk is going to be the face, but right. Punk is kind of like not playing a face or a heel. He's kind of just. It doesn't seem like Punk is playing a heel or a face or even playing CM Punk the character. He just seems like Phil Brooks playing CM Punk. Right. Like, it kind of just doesn't seem like it's not like he's overdoing it as a face. He just seems like he's just the dude.
Yeah, it's like you talked about last week. It's like he fell back in love with wrestling, and like he's just a dude that fell back in love with wrestling, and he's like just so happens to be CM Punk, one of the biggest wrestlers in the world. But like him personally, he fell out of love with wrestling, obviously, and then he fell back into it, and now he's kind of like just free to just be in the land of do whatever the fuck you want in AEW, and that's kind of how it just comes off. It's like you can't pinpoint it. You can't be like, this is what he is. Like, it is kind of weird, and it's a kind of gray area going on with Punk right now.
I think AEW is kind of in the moment right now. The way I see them, they're kind of like a catch-22 in terms of like what they can provide for wrestling. They are a land of opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
But sometimes that everyone having their own creative freedom and having their own thing, it's kind of like, like going to a buffet and,
overindulging, right?
Overindulging on certain stuff and some stuff just being a little too over the top or a little too,
right.
Too much or whatever. But, the stuff that, like, obviously the stuff that they do good is the best. It's like, I'm not gonna sit here and say AEW is trash. Like, they're not trash. Like, they have some flaws and some issues, but the stuff that they do really good is literally the best stuff in all of wrestling right now.
Right.
But also some of the stuff that they do is some of the worst, like in wrestling right now.
Right.
It's just one of those things where it's like
it is a catch-22. You're right.
It's just both you kind of got to go from there and figure it out. And that, we'll see what happens with Punk and Page. Obviously, the match will probably be good, and we'll see what they do in the next couple of weeks to kind of make it, build it up a little more. But yeah, we'll see what that happens with that. Next one I wanted to get onto here is I feel like the first thing we're on podcast 2 here. The first thing that you and I are probably actually going to disagree with each other on, because I actually find this storyline with Danhausen and Hook actually really entertaining. I know you're Danhausen's not your favorite fella, because you don't really get him. You don't kind of get, like, they didn't really explain Danhausen. If you didn't know from the internet who he was, you wouldn't understand. But the storyline that they've been building with them through the internet, stuff that I've seen, clips on Twitter, and just everything that they're doing, it's like this weird pairing of, Goldust and Booker T.
I literally was about to say that.
It's like, it's not supposed to work, but it's funny and entertaining, kind of.
Right. And
when Danhausen comes out there and Tony squashes him, I'm like, oh. At first I was like, oh, I kind of didn't like that. And then I thought about it for a couple seconds, thought about it for 15 seconds or so, and I was like, I kind of like that, because the AEW doesn't do that. They don't have squash matches like that, Like, they have a guy debuting in his first match, and he goes out there, and the fans are all about him, and he goes out there, and he gets squashed by a guy that looks good in retrospect, but he's nobody currently in AEW. He's just a dude, and Danhausen is a name, kind of, in the AEW. It's been kind of floating around. It's not like, Orange Cassidy, where he went out there and he had an impressive match with Pac, or Pac or whatever. It's, the dude was building up kind of a bit of a reputation a little bit in AEW, goes out in his first match and just gets completely squashed. And then over all this time, he's been trying to get Hook to be his friend or be his partner or whatever. And finally he comes out here and he saves Danhausen and he shakes his hand. And the crowd ate it up, man. They ate it up. They liked it. It was entertaining. And it was something that was actually something that I kind of enjoyed. Like, I thought I was not going to like it, but I actually was like, this was a pretty good segment and completely different than anything that they've done in terms of how AEW usually runs storylines and matches. How do you feel about this?
Yeah. Like you said, I'm not the biggest Danhausen fan in the world. Is there places for that? Yes, because, you have your, their Orange Cassidy, and like you talked about with, like, Goldust and Booker T, we've had that down the road. I think they have something really, really special with Hook, and I just think that
I can see it feeling like it's bringing him down. I can see that.
It's a problem of just, there's a real big risk of really ruining that potential. Because here's the deal. Who is that, or what is this feud or this angle? This angle is geared towards those people in AEW, like we said, that are there every fucking week, that are the hardcores, that know everything about Danhausen, that think he's the greatest shit ever, and that's cool. Like that, okay, I get that. It's funny. It's it's this super serious young hotshot guy, and you have this weird fucking guy. I literally don't even know how to describe what the fuck Danhausen is. I can't. Which again, I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem because I don't even know if they can put a vignette together to explain him that would make sense to a person that's never seen him before and that is a casual wrestling fan that you're trying to acquire. I just don't think that there's a way to. Like, what the, how do you, like, describe him? Like, the best way, describe him to me if you can.
Okay. So the way I think about him is I feel like he's a, like, early 1900s vampire who got frozen in a fucking time capsule and then woke up in 2022 or whatever. And he's like, thinks that he's like, scaring people and cursing people, and like nobody's intimidated by him, and he's just like this. He's this comedy character. That's what he is. He does the whole thing where he pours the teeth in people's mouth and he kicks them, and he does the tequila dance, and it's I guess a character that he's built over time. But he thinks he's like taking over people's minds, and he's got powers or some shit. That's to me what I feel like he is. And I accept him as a comedy character. Obviously, like, they're not doing what they did with Orange Cassidy, where they're putting him currently. They're not putting. That's the reason I like what they're doing, because they literally had him get squashed, and then the match that they're having is him and Hook versus Tony Nese and the manager guy at the pay-per-view at the buy-in. So it's like they're not like he's not getting some prominent role. He's just a side act that, to me, I just find weirdly entertaining. Like, I don't know why I find him entertaining. I just do, but it's weird, but that's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah, it just sounds like a clusterfuck. Like, it's just like so many weird different elements that it's like, I get it. But to me, it's like, it plays to the audience that's already there, and that's that nerdy, weird, fucking cringy fucking culture that, like, we talked about before, and that's like, that's cool, but like, I don't want, like you said, it's not the biggest thing on the show. It's not like it's Orange Cassidy beating Adam Cole in the main event or anything like that. But can you not see it getting to that point? You know what I mean? By like, I just feel like he sees it, and Tony Khan is so about like, oh my God, look how many views this got on fucking YouTube or whatever the fuck. It's like, I don't want it to get to that point just because there's just like these cringy like nerd fans that are out there that are all about fucking Danhausen. Because when I see it, I just notice Hook, and I just think that there's just like this weird. He's just an anomaly. Like he shouldn't be as cool as he is. He shouldn't be as good as he is. He shouldn't be as like he just comes off like a weird anomaly, man. Like he's so unique because he like looks like he's a boy, but yet he gets in the ring and he fucks people up. Like it's like, and you know, he's got that cool theme song, and it's like everything about him is just like he has this aura, and it works. And I just think that they're risking it, doing something with Danhausen. I just think that they could risk that aura about Hook right now that they have, and I would rather see them. I have no problem with them doing some sort of angle like this with a comedic type character like Danhausen and with a more serious type character. I just don't want that serious type character to be Hook, and I don't want that comedic type person to be Danhausen. So that's like, for me, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I get it, because the Goldust Booker T stuff, that shit was hilarious. Like, it worked. It was fun. But did Booker T, you know, at that time, was Booker T ever looked at as something significant? No, because he got tied along, and the biggest thing was Goldust. Goldust was the comedic part, so everything was built for the comedic side of things and never for like the other guy doing anything significant. So it's just, I get what you're saying. It risks putting Hook in a spot where he might not be able to get out of. That's basically what I'm nervous about, because I think they have something special with Hook, and I think that he can be built into, you know, potentially a big deal down the road.
Yeah, no, I completely understand, and I feel that I get what you're saying about Hook.
I'm not saying some of these things can't be entertaining. I just think, I'm just not. I just can't. I can't do Danhausen, man. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the look, how he talks, the fucking whatever the fuck his character is. Because again, I think they need to at least explain it. Like, if they want to try and find a way to the casual audience, I think they need to find a way to get across what the fuck this dude's all about, because they haven't done it yet, and we're just supposed to. Oh well, we know because we're big wrestling fans, so we have to know. Well, not everybody is, so we have to. You have to explain it to them. You have to get it over that, like, this is what's going on. But they haven't done it. Yeah,
I understand that, and I agree. They just haven't kind of explained it, and I get it. But we'll see what happens here. Obviously, I was entertained by this, but, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see where this goes on. Obviously, this is a thing where, you know, you said, hey, in the comments, explain to me why you think the Ezekiel Owens funny or interesting. I don't know why. I don't know. I just find the pairing between him and Hook interesting, and the storyline that they've built with this, I think it's an interesting thing, and I think them together are I think them separate are entertaining kind of characters,
Right.
and then together could be entertaining. So I'm just going to give it a chance to see because I was entertained. Yeah. Admit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, going on from here, we have again the most entertaining part of wrestling, which is MJF segment here with Wardlow, the contract signing here. Man, this Dark Side of the Ring shit.
Oh my God,
I was dying. I'm glad that they did this because it's fucking hilarious. And MJF, man, his ideas, they just kill me, like some of the stuff that they actually do. But yeah, that Dark Side was fucking hilarious. But yeah, the obvious issue here that we're going to have with this, which is, it's not really a huge issue, but it's still, we go back to it, somebody who's new is tuning in to watch AEW for the first time. They're like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this guy being booed? Why is he like, oh, he's being booed so much? He's like, boo so loud. I'm not telling you to boo so loud that he can't speak, wink, wink. But like he makes his facials and he picks up the mic and then, obviously he doesn't say anything because like he's going to get booed out of the building. So it's like, why would he speak? Which was a smart thing for them to do. But yeah, this whole segment, it was good. It looked big time. It felt, it was interesting. It felt like important. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say other than, Wardlow continues to look great here. MJF continues to look great here. The stipulations are in line here for Wardlow to get his opportunity at MJF. He's got to face Spears in a cage match with MJF as the ref. He's got to take 10 lashings next week, which will be interesting because they did that with Cody. So it's kind of like,
the build is literally the exact same as the Cody MJF build. Because now they're doing the same 10 lashings. They did the cage match with Wardlow, who was his heater, MJF heater at the time. So it's like the exact same build.
Didn't Wardlow get one once within as well?
I think so. Something
on
like
Cody.
That.
I think he did.
I think so.
He had
that was the cage match where Cody did that moonsault, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the moonsault into Wardlow. Yeah.
So, and then, we get the cage match, and then he obviously gets to have the match or whatever, and then
right.
he wins, he gets his contract with AEW. If he doesn't get the time with AEW. So, we see where the silver lining is with this one, what's going to happen here. So, but I feel about this here.
Yeah, a couple things, like we talk about with, same with the Punk stuff. You have to play to more than just your live audience. I mean, I get it. I get that he's a huge, big deal, but, I mean, what more... I mean, if you want crowd heat, what's better crowd heat than to shit on your own hometown and say that, God, I fucking hate that I had to come from this piece of shit place. Like, they went the opposite way. So not every time he's going to be there, he's going to be a face. But, I mean, that's not how I would do it. But, I mean, it's just me because then it takes the character out of it takes the kayfabe out of it kind of sometimes because you're just fucking playing to a home crowd. Like, oh, yeah, I want to be hated everywhere but here. Like, okay. But yeah, I think that they kind of just played a little bit to the hometown crowdness of this show. I think he did it with Punk, he did it with MJF. I just wasn't a fan of it because it takes the characters out of their character. And I didn't like the fact that you basically let like one of the toughest person to cut a promo on, MJF, have the upper hand over a guy who needs help and Wardlow, who needs more time. So I don't think it devalued Wardlow, but I think it didn't make, every week has been a step in the right direction and a step up and making him look more dominant. They got the stuff at the end that they got him to do, but I just think during that contract signing when they were in the promos, I just don't think that was a smart way to present Wardlow. I think that they needed to continue to just have the crowd completely despise MJF and completely be behind Wardlow. So I just think that was just a hiccup spot that they wanted to do for a one-off in Long Island, but that's the way they went with it. And I just disagree with how they did it. But yeah, and the other thing I noticed was when they started making the stipulations, I'm like, Jesus, this is literally the exact same build for Cody and MJF. I'm not a fan of the whole, like, you get your contract thing because it just makes it obvious that Wardlow's going to win. Like, I don't really, like, what would they do if he loses? It's like, it's pretty obvious that Wardlow obviously is going to get over and they want to get, establish him and stuff, but I just don't know if maybe they could have found a more, I don't know, not so one-sided stipulation where it looked, because that's one thing I hate when they book themselves into stipulations where it's just so fucking obvious and you don't hang on the, edge of your seat with who's going to win because they just make it. It's just like what we talked about with the, I Quit match with Charlotte and Rousey. They're not going to make fucking Rousey say I quit. Like, you knew going into that match that Ronda Rousey was going to win. Like, because she's not going to say I quit because it's Ronda Rousey. It makes sense. So this one, it kind of looks like it's going that way. But yeah, there's a couple little things. I enjoyed the work. That fucking Dark Side of the Ring thing was phenomenal. Jericho's working. It was great. They brought in fucking Barry Horowitz to talk about like jobbers and shit. That
famous
was
Jewish
wrestler. Yeah,
wrestler.
that shit was great. That was an awesome little piece of stuff that they did there. But just a couple little things here and there that I just was a little nitpicky about, but it just kind of goes back to playing the whole hometown crowd favorite and flipping the characters and the heel face dynamic, which I just wasn't really that big of a fan of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be back to normal next week, but
yeah,
they definitely play up to the crowd. When they're in a hometown, they let whoever's from that hometown, wrestle that night in a bigger match or whatever, or in a bigger spotlight. And that's cool that they give their guys that moment, but it was just a weird dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
So, but we'll see. Obviously, this is still one of the best things in all of wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Now, so this clearly is going to lead to some great stuff down the line. So we'll see there. Next, we got to get to literally. I like to call this section the complete clusterfuck mess because we got Jungle Boy here versus I almost called him Tony Starks, Ricky Starks, and basically I have here in my notes boring, whole angle boring, full of boring guys. That's literally what I wrote.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's unfortunate because there's some guys in here I do like. I mean, in my perfect world, AEW world, because there's so much bloat going on in AEW at the moment, I would, they had, in this segment alone, they had obviously Hobbs out there, and then they had Christian and Luchasaurus come out, and then they had Swerve and Captain fucking talks weird.
Greetings and masturbations.
Salutations.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and masturbations.
Jesus
Whatever
Christ.
it is he says. But Keith Lee come out there, and then it's looking like they're going to do some kind of triple team match at the pay-per-view or something with these guys. My layout here of what I would obviously do. I don't care about Keith Lee. I don't care about honestly, which is unfortunate. I don't give a shit about what Christian's been doing. I think he could be doing something else.
Yeah.
I think they could maybe put him in a manager role with somebody else. Whatever. Jungle Boy is one of the most boring fuckers I've seen in my life.
Yep.
He's so boring, I can't believe it. And he literally doesn't. He doesn't do anything extra or special in the ring that makes me be like, oh my god, you're like Ray Phoenix. No, you just do anything any indie jobber guy can do. In terms of moveset.
And you look like you're 15 years old.
Right. Luchasaurus has a lot of marketability. He could be every 12-year-old's favorite wrestler, but he's somehow buried in the tag. Not buried, they're the champions, but they're just boring. They're just boring together. I think Luchasaurus could do his own thing. And then obviously I think I'm a fan of Powerhouse Hobbs. And I think Ricky Starks has some potential as well, but he just
comes off like mini-me Rock too much.
Yeah, it just bothers me. He's too much. He's too much like yeah. I'm trying to think of something else, but you hit it on the nose. Mini-me Rock. Like that's all there is to it. Mini-me Rock, and then Swerve. He has so much potential. Too.
Oh God, yes.
He's kind of just stuck in this thing with Keith Lee at the moment, and I don't give a shit about this at all. I just wanted to briefly mention. That I felt like this is one of the low points of Dynamite. How do you feel about this here?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus isn't. Yeah, like he's like super talented for a big guy. I would get him the fuck out of a goddamn dinosaur gimmick, and I think they could make him a big deal too if they wanted to. I mean, they could go the route where he's like every 10-year-old favorite wrestler, but I think there's tons of marketability just as a talent because of what he is. I think they can get him over that way if they wanted to. But I think they'll probably just continue the whole lucha, whatever the fuck shit. Yeah, I mean, every time that I see anything going on and then Swerve comes out, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about anybody else on TV right now. I'm just like, the dude's a star, man. And we talked about it going back to the fucking Hit Row days. Like, the dude is just like, I told Ryan, I don't even know how many years ago this was, I was like, they need to make this motherfucker like the Kendrick Lamar of wrestling. And he literally has like become it. Like, he's like just this cool ass fucking like rapper dude is just like on his own wavelength and just got this whole cool fucking vibe to him. Like, he can talk his ass off. He's got this cool look. He comes off like a star. Like, we love everything about Swerve, and I just wish he was doing so much more than being with fucking greetings and fucking boring tations, fucking Keith Lee. I could give a shit about Keith Lee, dude. Like, I know he's one of your big, slappy, big boy man, but, dude, every time he opens his mouth, he just devalues himself more and more because he sounds like a fucking idiot. And he's just, he's whatever in the ring. Like, yeah, he's a big dude and he does shit, but it doesn't come off impactful. Like, he does stuff, but it's just like, I don't know if it's because they just, like, made him too memey in NXT, like, with all the stuff he'd, like, sneak up behind a guy and fucking pop his head up, and then he's fucking throwing guys in or knocking people off the side of the camera, and, oh, look at all this shit. He's pop up fucking Gary over here. Like, that shit was fucking dumb. So I could give a fuck about him. But, yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs, another guy with tons of potential, got a good look. He's a big motherfucker. But yeah, I don't give a shit about really anybody else but Swerve. Like, I wish they did
like
more
big guys. I like the big guys, you know. I'm a fan of the big guys,
yeah.
But I really haven't been a fan of Keith Lee for a while.
There's a lot of, like, that's the problem with some of the bigger guys. They look like they just come off soft. Like, when I watch like Walter have a match, like, he looks bigger than any 400-pounder can ever look just by the way he works a match, carries himself, his presence. Like, Keith Lee just comes off like a soft little, I don't know, man. Like, he just doesn't come off how he should and how impactful he should. He just, I don't know if it's like a confidence thing or what it is, but I could give a fuck less about him, dude.
I get what you're saying. I agree. So hopefully this group, this boring group, you know, pairing obviously of guys might, you know, be done here soon. Obviously, we saw a slight little hint of a potential Christian turn, which, whatever.
Man, can you imagine how much better Christian would be used in WWE right now?
Yeah,
like, I just feel like he would be used. Like, he's a Hall of Famer. Like, he has so much more to give than what he's doing right now. Like, it's just even a manager role. Like, I would rather hear him on fucking commentary than some of the guys. Like, he could do so much more. I feel like he would be used more of like a bigger star. He can be getting over other guys. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those other guys that just signed, had a big first couple things. He had his title match, and then after that, he's done literally nothing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So maybe he does a little turn here eventually on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and maybe he goes on to do something better. But as of now, we don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next thing we got here is this. Quickly, we'll run down this Jericho Appreciation Society deal with the brawl. They had a brawl with. Basically, we finally figured out what they were going to do. We're like, well, they have this feud going on with 3 guys against 5, and we're like, what are they going to do here? Because they're completely outmatched. Well, you know, they took the Blackpool Combat Club because they literally have no feud going with anybody, and they need to. And they paired them up with Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz, and we're basically going to probably get some kind of 10-man fuckfest fuckery match here, I guess. I don't know what they're going to do here. It's possible that they do a blood and guts match. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do it at the pay-per-view, but I mean, there's a chance that they do a 10-man or something at the pay-per-view, or they do. I don't know. They have to figure out something for Moxley and Danielson to do with pay-per-view. Like, they obviously need to put them on the show. I mean, if they literally do Moxley and Danielson versus that fucking 2.0 dudes, oh my god, that'd be terrible.
Oh, yeah, I don't give a
Like, unless they're in some huge like faction warfare type of match, that would be terrible. But yeah, I mean, this segment was interesting here. Every other week, Jericho has some kind of silly gimmick name. I think he just trademarked the name The Wizard. So it's like, what the fuck? Why?
Freaking hilarious.
I don't know.
Why not though, dude? He's Jericho. He's just gonna do anything, and it's gonna work. Like, it's just fucking. I don't know, man. This is like the Wizard. Like, it's like he literally can come out and be like, "I'm the fucking transsexual element." He can literally do whatever he wants, and it'll make it work. It's fucking hilarious.
That's his shtick now. His whole thing, where he just makes literally some random.
Like, why is he calling himself the Wizard? It doesn't have to do with anything.
Well, he's calling himself the Wizard because he threw that fireball in his face.
Oh.
So if you didn't know now that makes sense. He's like, I had this fireball.
Oh, that's right.
So, but yeah, how do you feel about this little deal there with the Blackpool Combat Club joining?
Obviously, I love Jericho's brilliance, that's for sure, but we all do. But yeah, they just, added some dudes in that, they're fighters, man. These black class. What the fuck are they called again? Blackpool. It's also the Black Craft. Call back. Click of Destiny.
Fighting for the devil.
Yeah, dude, right? These guys are just doing nothing, and it just so happens to be, like one of the best wrestlers in the world, and a guy who's having like a resurgence of his career after coming out of his, whatever the hell he went to after his alcoholism stuff with Moxley. But I can't think of it. What is that called? Not therapy. It's
rehab.
There you go, rehab. Couldn't think of it.
Yep.
Thank you. I mean, they're gonna do a little thing. They already did like a street fight at the last pay-per-view, I think, with this feud, but they're probably gonna do something like that. I don't know if they're just like delaying and just kind of having, Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club guys just kind of like do this little side angle, and then they're going to go into Forbidden Door and kind of ramp up some big angles with Moxley and Danielson. That's a possibility, but I mean, I just kind of I care more about like the Jericho Kingston side of things, the whole faction thing. Whatever, that's fine. JAS has been pretty entertaining just because Jericho is obnoxious and fucking the Magic Daddy or whatever the fuck his name is, like that dude, like just going off of his mind, and Daniel Garcia looking like the biggest fuckboy ever. Like, he's just like a tool, but it's hilarious.
They're literally, dude, they are literally a parody of their whole, I guess this is what they're trying to come across, but they're literally just a parody of some bullshit WWE thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they are just like sports entertainment, like over the top douchey, and it's just fucking hilarious to me.
It is. It really, I dig the hell out of it. Just because I think Jericho fucking makes everything work. Like, he's just like fucking hilarious, man. He's just so brilliant. But yeah, I mean, it's like adding him in. It's kind of meh, whatever. I mean, they'll have a big whatever match, and I don't know if I guess eventually they try and get to a blood and guts match down the road, or they do something like that. We'll see, but I'm expecting, just like you said, some 10-man fuckfest culture fuck match, and whatever, right? So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get something at the pay-per-view down the line. So, and finally, we get here to the dream match, man. The dream match. I know you have some. Oh yeah.
Talked about this one, and not all good. Not all good. There's some interesting stuff here, but it is what it is. So we'll get to this here main event here. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. And just for this match only, and the Owen, bro, they decided to make this a no, anything goes. Of course. No rules, bro. They can just, obviously, it's Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin, bro. These are right. And Darby is this generation's Jeff. He just does wild shit, throws his body to the wind, and just fucking hopes he doesn't die. And that's what they did here. They went out here and had a fucking 13, whatever how long this was, 13, 12.
Pretty short, yeah, it's pretty short.
Minute just straight, just fucking car crash, and maybe it's because Jeff is kind of falling apart, and they wanted to get this dream match done before Jeff literally couldn't walk, or it's they There's been a lot
Maybe
of
they
talk
wanted to do it before Darby falls apart and he can't walk anymore.
That's true. That's true.
Even though he's like 24 years old or whatever the hell old he is.
There's a lot of talk about just the worry with, a bit of worry within AEW about dropping ratings, and some of that is due to the NBA playoffs, going on and different things kind of taking away viewership. But, they had to put on a match here that I feel like appeals to a hardcore fan, but also appeals to a casual fan. They're like, oh, Jeff Hardy, he's in the main event in some hardcore match. Like, let's fucking go see Jeff Hardy. Like, I feel like you ask anybody, you list off the whole AEW roster, I think people are going to be like, most people are going to know who Chris Jericho is. Most people are going to know who CM Punk is. But like, you ask the most casual of the casual if they know who Jeff Hardy is. Like,
right.
I literally, some fucking 9-year-old on the street right now could tell me who Jeff Hardy is. Like, right. It's just like he's a guy, and so it's like one of those things that, and I know that there was a lot of issues with this, how this match, logic in terms of what this match, did and made sense and stuff. But I'll do it, man. I had a hell of a good time watching this match. I had so much fun watching, a childhood guy that I grew up on go against a new guy who does this kind of shit. And I knew that's what they were trying to go for here, is that kind of match. But I will let you get into the logic of the bullshit with this match. So go on with that.
Yeah, so like we said, it's an idiot can figure out the fact that, well, of course you want to see Darby and Jeff Hardy go out there and fucking just have a car crash and literally have fucking Darby throw himself off a fucking 30-foot ladder through a bunch of tables and chairs and shit, and Jeff did a swanton on top of a fucking goddamn steel steps and shit. But we're in the middle of a fucking tournament, right? That we're just trying to get across that it is like about the technical prowess of an Owen Hart, one of the greatest and one of the most, revered and loved people of all time, and he's such a great wrestler. And you know what? It doesn't really matter what the fuck we want to do with this tournament, because we're just going to do whatever we want, and we're just going to live off of reputation and say, well, you know what? We're just going to have, Jeff Hardy, who's a daredevil, and, like you said, he's a childhood favorite of mine, too. Everybody fucking loves Jeff Hardy. Like, who doesn't love watching Jeff Hardy jump off of shit and fucking kill himself and
right.
be the daredevil? Like, that's what Jeff Hardy is. But, we're 32 years old now. So it's like when we're watching wrestling, we're like, why does this matter? What are we doing? Like, what is the difference between watching this and watching some guy get, hit with a light tube out in the fucking fields of Iowa in a deathmatch tournament? Like, there's no fucking point in any of this. Like, it's
right.
Especially being in the Owen Hart tournament. Like, for anybody else in this tournament, Kyle O'Reilly's in this tournament, right? Why wouldn't Kyle O'Reilly next week in his tournament match say, you know what? I feel like, listen, Tony, I feel like I want to have a 2 out of 3 falls, 30-minute Iron Man submission match. Why? Because, well, I'm a really good technical wrestler, and that's my reputation. So can you please do that? Okay, cool. Like, what? Like, you can't, you're just letting guys make their own rules because of reputation. Like, yeah, everybody, I'm sure a lot of people watching will be like, dude, just have fun and watch it. And I'm just like, okay, and what, burn fucking brain cells at the same fucking time because it makes no fucking sense? Like, there can be things that are like that. It would be awesome. It's awesome to see Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin do that. Build it up. Like, set up a dream match. Do it at a pay-per-view. Establish it at a big show. You literally made this, anything goes, the night of. You didn't even say this was going to be that a week ago. You just did it because you're like, well, that's what these guys are going to do. I don't know, man. It's what we get with modern wrestling. It's what we get with AEW a lot of the times. The logic behind stuff, it's just not there all the time, and it's frustrating because it's like, you can do this. I have no problem doing this. Build it up. Show some like shit from Darby's past where he was doing crazy shit. Show some shit from Joe. They probably can't show shit from Jeff's past, but you can maybe show Impact stuff. Maybe they can get some of their footage or whatever. But, like, you can build this up and make it a big deal. Instead of having it in the middle of Owen Hart's tournament, who fell to his death from the top of a goddamn arena, and you're watching Darby do the same fucking thing in the middle of his tournament. That made no sense and it was unnecessary. But, you know, it goes to their Wednesday night pay-per-view formula of having to give them, you know, a fucking crazy clusterfuck card. Or, you know, that's 3 weeks in a row. We had the coffin match with Darby and Andrade where he went through like a fucking thumbtack-plated casket or some shit. I don't even know what the fuck it was. And then you had the ladder match where Sammy Guevara tried to commit suicide and fucking break his goddamn neck. And then you have this match where, you know, Darby and Jeff, for the 875th time, tried to kill themselves. So, yeah. I mean, 12 weeks of the show. We haven't even got a pay-per-view yet, folks. Make sure to bring your midgets and your fucking trash cans and your light tubes, and we're going to shove them up a fucking child's tank. Like, what are we doing? It's fucking... Like, we can't go any more far. Just on a weekly show. Yeah, that's what we're going to do, man. This is what we do. It's Dynamite. We're going to next week they literally might have a Dynamite match and shove it up somebody's ass and just explode it. Like, that's the way to win. It's the Dynamite finale match where you just fucking explode somebody with Dynamite. Like, I don't know, man. It just gets to a point where it's just like, fuck. Like, come on.
Yeah. I'm on board with you. It just seems like every other week they just, and I don't know if you saw the Cornette podcast where the clip where they were talking about the amount of specialty or hardcore type matches they've had in AEW like this year and throughout their history. It's just like it's so many. It's
ridiculous.
There's no reason. There's no reason.
It's just lazy booking. Like Cornette says, lazy booking. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's 100% lazy. You're like the fucking, it was hilarious whenever they built to that TNT match with Guevara and fucking Scorpio Sky. They're like, okay, yeah, I want to fight you for the TNT title. Yeah, we're going to see next week. And then Sam Guevara grabs the mic and says, oh, ladder match, and just drops it. It's like, why? Why are we having a ladder match? Like, why? What is the purpose? What are we doing? Yeah. Like, it's just nonsense, man. But it fuels the fucking, just the fucking diehards. You know, they got to see their guys out there fucking killing themselves every Wednesday night for satisfaction. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we'll see what happens, you know, going on here. We'll obviously continue to keep track of Dynamite and see, you know, maybe someone does die and then we'll have to.
Maybe we'll have that Dynamite devastation match this Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yes. So we'll see. So all right, so now, you know, we're gonna jump on to obviously there was a lot of things that happened on the internet wrestling community floating around, all kinds of crazy shit happening. You got guys fucking calling the other guys out. You got guys fucking going to part-time deals. You got guys wanting more money or they're going to fucking go to WWE. It's just a big fucking mess going on. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to hit a lot of these things here real quick and just kind of, you know, get our opinion about how we feel. So, first of all, early in the week, we had, Punk kind of call out Eric Bischoff for some comments that he said, and then, you know, saying, you know, you're a carny piece of shit. You need to, you know, fucking your time is done. You know, take your ego podcast and, you know, piss off, and, you know, no one gives a shit about you anymore and all this. And Eric, man, he don't give a fuck. You know, he was basically like, bro, you thought that you could win scripted fights, so you went to the UFC and thought you was going to win real fights, and you basically looked like a bitch, is what he said.
Yeah, he got wrecked.
And there was just a lot of stuff with Bischoff this week in general, and Bischoff has been creating a lot of controversy about his opinions on AEW and WWE.
I've heard it creates cash.
Yeah, the controversy. It definitely
does create cash.
And, and he kind of just, you know, he kind of shit on Punk, and Punk never replied back after that, but it was just, you know, some fuel for Bischoff to get, you know, more eyes and ears on his podcast and his show and talk about the shit he's talking about and shitting on, you know, what he's shitting on. And, you know, he likes to, and the thing about Bischoff is, for me, is he's right more than he's wrong, but when he's wrong, he's dead wrong. And that's how I feel about, like, Cornette as well. Like, I feel like Cornette is like, I agree with a lot of the stuff he says, but sometimes, every once in a while, he'll have something where I'm like, both of them, I'm like, ooh, that just seems like you're kind of, like, misguided, or you're like what's the word I'm thinking? Your mindset is outdated.
Outdated, yeah.
With the current environment of wrestling and just things going on and just with the world in general, it's just like, you don't really know kind of what's going on with people in the wrestling business. It's just kind of your personal opinion, and it kind of just feels, like your personal opinion that you are kind of projecting out there into the world, and it kind of just comes off more like douchey than it does anything else. But in general, with this specifically, I just wanted to mention, I mean, who here really has a leg up? I mean, do you think Punk was right in his comments? You think Eric was right in his comments? You think how do you feel about this?
Well, so basically, I mean, it was a lot of what Bischoff said is a lot of honestly what we've talked about is, they're clamoring to an audience that's already there. They're not going to, continue to gain viewers. They're not going to continue to catch new eyes with doing the same shit that they're doing and kind of just playing their little, super indies and doing their crazy dream matches and all their crazy shit and, not establishing characters that are going to draw in, new audiences. And I mean, Punk got all pissed off because that's where he is now. And, we've seen Punk in the past. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I think Eric Bischoff is extremely misunderstood. I think he gets a bad rap. I think that it's the same with Cornette. I think Cornette, a guy, and that's not something I would have said 10 years ago, probably both of us. But, watching more wrestling and continuing to gain knowledge and go back and watch previous shit, like how you talked about going back and watching that stuff from the 80s, and I've gone back and watched a ton of shit too, and, seeing stuff from a different opinion and with, not now being, full ass grown adults instead of watching that same stuff when we were kids, and we noticed different things and how it worked and what it caught and the different audiences that it was geared towards and why everything worked right and, in a lot of those times. But, Bischoff came out and he threw a bunch of fucking, ratings and shit at Punk. He's like, okay, well, here's some numbers that have happened since you came in. And everything has declined. Like, everything's gone down. Like, you can't argue with the fact that, their formula for what they've been doing, it's been working for what they're doing right now and the people they're getting, but it's not expanding. It's not growing numbers. It grew to what it is right now, and it's seeming like it's capping off. And we've mentioned reasons why we think it's doing that. We mentioned why we think are the ways that we think that they can progress. And it's by no means saying that we don't like what they're doing right now. It's just saying that they can do better. And I think that's what Bischoff really says. He just mentions things that it's like, he doesn't say everything's great about WWE either. He says, well, I think that if they would do it this way, or same with Cornette and a lot of those guys. I think they get just misguided by saying like they just shit everything on AEW, and it's not true. Eric Bischoff has been on AEW television. He's come in. He's talked with Tony Khan. He appears to be friends with Tony Khan, at least on the outside. But he's critical over things of professional wrestling, the things that he's seen in the past that have worked, and things that he's seen currently that are not working and are not gaining viewers and are not growing the audience. And it's just, the proof's in the pudding. And like you said, we've seen Punk in the past get kind of butthurt about shit, and somebody like CM Punk coming out and saying, you should stop doing what you're doing and you should really, cut back, like all the shit that like everyone said about Punk in the UFC. It's just so like you're just giving Bischoff fuel to just fucking tee off on you when you're saying shit like that. But it's Punk. He's gonna speak his mind. He's gonna defend his shit, and he's gonna do it till the end. And I respect that. And of course he's gonna defend AEW and everything they're doing right now because he's one of their biggest stars. And but it's one of those things where he's like, calling him out, saying like, well, you're not drawing the numbers that you're claiming that you're drawing because here's the proof's in the pudding. So we kind of see it. I think there's truth to both. Where I just think that Bischoff's in his lane, and he's trying to do his thing, and Punk's in his thing, and he's trying to gain his thing. It's just kind of, it's almost an opinion of a bias almost at that point, if what side you want to go off of. But I think there's kind of truth to both. But you can't argue with what Bischoff is saying, in my opinion, because it's a lot of the same stuff that we've been saying.
Yeah, I think one of the big ones was one of the big things that I think Eric has taken offense to, or he's ticked off about, I guess, was Punk's comment about when Danielson and Cole came in at that pay-per-view, he said it was like when Hall and Nash came in with WCW. Like he equated it to the same.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Punk said that, and Eric was like, that's bullshit. Like there was those guys are nowhere near as big of stars as Nash and Hall was. And I totally get that, and that was just something that that bothered Eric, and he's kind of taking taking digs at Punk over that. So
I totally agree with Bischoff on that one. There's that was game changing, and I don't think that was as game changing. I think it was almost more game changing to see Punk there than it was with those Danielson and especially Cole. Danielson for sure, but fucking Adam Cole, are you shitting me? Like nowhere near the extent of what the Outsiders did and the effect that they had in the Attitude Era and everything with NWO, WCW. But I didn't even see that one. That's a hoot. That's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. As much as I like Danielson and he's been a big name for years, it's just
there's difference between
it's not comparable in terms of
star
what
quality.
they became, what they became and what it did for us.
Yeah, right, for sure, absolutely. There's no, if you want to talk about wrestling quality, Bryan Danielson, you're not going to say any. You never put Kevin Nash in the same regard. I think Scott Hall's really underrated, but you never put those kind of names. But as far as the bigness of the moment and what they ended up doing and becoming and doing for the wrestling business, it's not even up for debate, in my opinion.
For sure. So now I want to jump on to, obviously we talked about Reigns and, the stuff with him on SmackDown, but we really didn't get into what has happened with him. So last podcast we talked about Reigns' promo, about how he was saying, I might not be back here ever again and all this, and everyone started speculating, saying, holy shit, if he's leaving, if he going to Hollywood and all this. Well, now it has been confirmed that he has signed a new deal, but it's more of a Brock Lesnar-esque deal, kind of, where he's working a lot less dates. He's working, the major pay-per-views, and he's not going to be at all the pay-per-views. He's not going to be at all the SmackDowns. He's not going to work house shows. He's only going to work the major shows. And, I mean, the timing of that, on top of the timing of Charlotte being gone, we're excited to see Cody and Rollins and the stuff with RK Bro and the Usos, but the summer, the WWE during the summer right now, it might be rough going, for a minute, until they can kind of get things figured out. If they plan on putting the belt on Drew, one of the belts on Drew, and then maybe the other belt on Cody, I think that might be the best go of it. Have Drew on SmackDown with that title and have Cody on on Raw with the other one, or whatever. That to me seems like potentially where the angle that they might go here with it. But if he has pulled out of the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, so the plan is for him to not defend any titles or be on the show at all. So how do you feel about Reigns and all the stuff going on with him?
This is interesting. I mean, I think it's really interesting, and I just kind of wonder where it comes from. All this, it's just he's on top of the world. He's just knocking everything out of the park, and it's just now we're just going to step back. And it's kind of okay, well, maybe it's the wear and tear. Maybe it's the constantly being, under scrutiny in the hot seat, but it's just strange. I just wonder I wish we could know the full scheme of things and kind of what's going on with them, what's
would
going
you
on.
say Reigns has reached the pinnacle of what it means to be the biggest wrestler in all of wrestling at the moment?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it's hard to tell because
he's doing the best work he's ever done. Obviously,
100%.
Title reign, but it's just.
But, are we talking is he a fucking Mount Rushmore kind of guy, or are we talking he's just gotten to a point to where he's the biggest star in the company or biggest star in the business? That's the thing, because I think there's another tier. I mean, there's another aspect. I mean, where he can continue to grow, and then you can put him in the same category as a Rock or as an Austin or as a Hogan or Cena. Obviously, got up to that point too. But, I mean, it's I don't want to discredit everything that's happened before this run, this heel run and the Bloodline run, but it's kind of almost it's for me, my Roman Reigns, it's only been for a year and a half, 2 years, because everything else is okay, the Shield stuff was cool and all that shit, and he had the 45 fucking main events at WrestleMania and all that shit, but it's kind of almost like people are just now starting to realize, like, oh, damn, man, this guy is really hitting it and really clicking because it finally clicked and the character stuck. And but I still think there could be room. Does it feel like sometimes it is just kind of like, I'm just on this plateau and I'm just stagnant on this plateau, and maybe that's how he feels, and maybe he feels like he's to that point where he's like, well, if I continue to do more, I'm going to water it down. I can get that. I can see that being a thing.
I could see that. And
how many more times are we going to see him come out on SmackDown and have that 45-minute intro or that entrance and, do the pyro and acknowledge?
I mean, he said that on SmackDown. He said that on SmackDown with his promo when I was talking. He was like, John Cena, I smashed him. Brock Lesnar, I smashed him.
Right.
Like, I done beat everybody. I done beat all the top guys. Like, I've done it all. Like, I guess if you want to keep him kind of guarded until there's something big worth him doing, then, that makes sense, because there's no reason for him to face the Cesaros on SmackDown.
Right. The good point. And that's probably what they thought about, like, faking that Nakamura too. Because it's like, why would anybody give a shit if you beat Nakamura? He just beat fucking Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and unified the titles. So I get that. I definitely do see that. And I think they're just a victim of their own success with Roman on that front. Because, they had this super long title run and he's unified the titles and he's beaten everybody and he's just hitting everything out of the park, promos, angles and segments and all this and that. And, I mean, it could just be where they just feel like he's just reached this plateau and he's just reached this point where it's like, what the fuck else is there to do? Let's kind of like take a step back and do some bigger stuff here and there down the road.
He could be the one to do the movie deals. He could be one to go out and do the movies and maybe not want to put as much wear and tear on his body and all that.
I really think you nailed it with the, taking some a little bit of time off, being champion, but then coming in for the bigger matches once you feel like a guy's there. So I feel like, I really just feel like the match for Cardiff is just set in stone in my eyes with Roman and Drew. I just think it just makes too much sense. But then you have Cody there. You don't have a champion on Raw. So it's like, do we mess some stuff up and possibly do a draft? Do we do something interesting with the titles? Do we, just say, hey, there's one championship, we break it off to two again? Like, what are we going to do with that? So it'll be interesting. This summer will be really intriguing to see how it goes, especially for the top of the card and with those championships with what Roman's doing. And I don't expect to, not see him anymore, like a Brock or something like that. But I do think that they're going to, like you said, just save him for those big deals that they need him for, because some of those title matches where he's just facing these guys that are just kind of coming up just to get, so he can get a win and move on to the next month is just kind of useless.
Yeah, I agree, for sure. So we'll see what happens with Reigns. Obviously the time will tell, and we'll see what happens after Hell in a Cell, and we'll be here to cover it for sure. So next thing I want to move on to here is there's been a lot of talk about MJF and his contract situation. He's been very open about 2024, the bidding war at 2024 between Tony and Vince for, to see where he goes. And I don't know if this is a completely a money deal for MJF, but there's a lot of talk about him not being happy and how with his situation, how they're not paying him enough money. And the rumor is that he wants a pay raise before he signs an extension, which nobody in their right ass fucking mind would do that. You're basically throwing money away at that point if you don't extend a guy. It kind of comes into terms with like when you talk about, sports players. It's like Tony, family runs the Jaguars and then another fucking like a soccer team or some shit. So like they understand what it means to be signing talent, you know what I mean? And he basically was like, hey, I want you to sign this extension. You'll get your raise. And, I guess MJF is not wanting that. He wants his raise and then he will extend when he's ready. And it doesn't work like that. Like you don't make those rules. Obviously, as big as he is and how people talk about him being one of the top guys in all of wrestling at the moment in terms of, people wanting to see him, wanting to put your eyeballs on the screen when MJF is on there. He's one of the top guys in all of wrestling right now. And I'm sure Tony Khan is willing to pay him, but you can't really jerk around your boss, too hard. You gotta like you gotta also be like, okay, I understand my worth. He understands my worth. I don't know if I'm going to extend. Maybe he was using AEW as a platform to get noticed so he could go to WWE. Maybe he doesn't want to stay with AEW. The plan all along is for him to go to WWE. Like, he wants to do that. I don't know. Who knows? But I will say personally, what I think is going on here, at least in terms of what's going on right now, is what would piss off the AEW hardcore fans more than continuing to say that he's going to sign with WWE. Like to me, this almost feels like a work, just so MJF can get that heat. It's like the AEW diehards are just like, this motherfucker, he's just going to pull a Cody, and he's just going to leave and go to WWE, and it's going to be bullshit. And he's going to get so much heat off of this rumor. He could take this as far as he wants to take it, you know? He could completely take this whole thing to the moon and just be like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to WWE, I'm going to do what I want. And if he's going to get massive heat off this, because, you know, the AEW, the hardcore AEW fans are almost like a cult, you know? So,
yeah.
You know, how do you feel about this stuff with MJF?
I think this is very much in play. I see what you're saying, and I see that it could be a work, but I think this is it's a really up in the air thing right now, in my opinion. I really think a lot of this could legitimately be true. I think it legitimately could be something to where he ends up going to WWE. Like, it would not shock me at all. And I think a huge part of it could end up playing off of what MJF sees Cody do in WWE. Because I think it would basically be very similar to how MJF would be used just as a heel. And continuing this role of saying, hey, I'm going to go to WWE, hey, I'm going to go to WWE, and piss off the AEW fans. What's the easiest way to continue crowd heat and to continue your massive heel build than to literally just end up going to WWE and then having all these people just fucking despise you? Like, that's like, Vince would just fucking cream all over himself for the level of a true heel that MJF is. And he would get money, and I know Tony can pay it too, but why did Cody leave? Cody left because he didn't want to be the gatekeeper of AEW. What has MJF been doing lately? He's been getting just basically kind of rolled over in feuds and being utilized for how great of a heel he is. He's not really getting utilized as a huge star like a Cody is going to end up being used in WWE. WWE literally has been using Cody everywhere. He just did a promotional package for Money in the Bank in Las Vegas, did a little wink and nod to, you know, kind of like not really shitting on AEW, but kind of like saying like, oh, hey, you're running Las Vegas. Oh, that's cool. We're running the fucking football stadium. So, you know, just kind of just everything feels bigger, you know, when you go to WWE. It's the facts of the case. You know, AEW's not to that point yet where we're running stadiums and shit, but, you know, again, it's a lot of what was Cody doing. Cody was putting over guys. Cody was, you know, kind of that gatekeeper role. He was, you know, the established guy that everybody knew, and then the new guy would come in and they want to, you know, utilize his talent to get him over. What has MJF been doing? And, you know, they did the Punk feud, and that was all great. And MJF he continued to grow, and he got more fans behind him, and now he's into a Wardlow feud. And now he's going to end up putting over Wardlow, and I'm sure Wardlow will become a huge star. And, you know, if you continue to do that because you're utilizing him as a great heel, a la to how, you know, Triple H was back in the day, because people despise Triple H, and look how many people he got over because of it. You know, because of that, you had Batista, you have Randy Orton, all the Evolution guys, you know, fucking Roman, Seth, like the list goes on with all the guys he got over because of how great of a heel he was, and people got behind the other guy. That's what's happening with Wardlow. That's going to continue to happen with whoever MJF feuds with, because he's not going to be a face. He's just too goddamn good as a heel. It's just so natural. So it really honestly could be something that is completely fluid and something that's really up in the air, but time will tell. And like you said, it's not something you can really jerk around your boss and legitimacy and how he's trying to do things. But, you know, it could legitimately be something that is very, very intriguing in a couple of years and to see what ends up happening with him. But there's a lot of time in between now and then, and there's a lot of things that can change, and there's a lot of things that can maybe progress or regress one way or another with how that's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a wait and see game. Obviously, it's, you know, a year and a half away until we know exactly what. I mean, maybe we'll hear more if he signs an extension, or whatever it is, if he never signs that extension, then we know he
right.
he wants to leave. He wants to leave after when 2024 hits. It's almost set in stone that he's going to WWE, and that's what it's going to be. And we'll see. I mean, he could go there and be a huge star there, and I mean, it doesn't matter where some of these guys go. If they go and they're entertaining there, obviously the systems are different. Him not having the creative freedom to kind of say the stuff that he would like to say and might not be as good in AEW because he has a little more freedom to speak his mind. But I think he can make it work, and being a good heel, he can do it, and he can make it work if he has to. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, still one of the best parts of all of wrestling is MJF, and this is something that we'll keep a monitor on over time, and we'll talk about it when more stuff comes up about it. But here now, I just want to run through a couple tidbits of some funny, silly things happening and some weird things happening. Just want to jump out at a couple things here. Lacey Evans moved to Raw. She's a heel now. I don't fucking know why. Just happened out of nowhere. Who knows?
Yeah, what? Yeah, what?
I don't know what the fuck what's going on with that. And then
I love that tweet. They were like, Lacey Evans is going to be moving to Raw, and unfortunately, due to all these things, it looks like she's going to be face. She's actually going to be a heel. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The exact opposite. Like, we're going to switch brands and completely change the character because she completely looked like a sentimental baby face. But okay.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what they're going to do there with that.
But another talent that gets flipped from SmackDown to Raw, where it just seems like SmackDown's women's division is just lacking so much talent. It doesn't seem like it has the quantity of talent that Raw does.
I don't know what's going on with SmackDown. It definitely seems like they're very bare in terms of talent there. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be some adjustments coming soon, and they're going to.
Fox is going to be fucking asking WWE to fucking figure out some shit here. I mean, you don't have Roman as much. Maybe not have. We're talking about Charlotte, but it's like, damn, like all this talent.
I mean, maybe Rousey's going to be the holding it down on SmackDown for the next.
It looks like it. I mean, yeah, it looks like
she had a match on SmackDown, so she might be
going to continue to probably make SmackDown unwatchable.
for sure. Next, we got the unveiling of what is potentially the new ROH logo.
Ugh.
It looks very basic. It looks like an 8-year-old on Roblox made it. I mean, it just looks so basic and so simple and so whatever. I don't know what they're kind of going for here. If they want to use Ring of Honor as kind of a farming system or whatever, we'll see. They haven't really done anything since WrestleMania weekend with them, so we don't know what Tony's deal is here with this. Other big news coming out of that, in the kind of same realm as this, is the TNT TBS GM guy. I don't remember his name. He actually got fired this week. So it's like he's the guy who kind of like greenlit AEW Dynamite. So there's a lot of stuff up in the air about that. And there's also talk about them getting, since they are not doing Roads to the Top 2, season 2, they're going to do a kind of an AEW reality type show where they kind of go behind the scenes of AEW and stuff, which could be interesting to see with that. How do you feel about a couple of these things going on here?
I feel like there's a missed opportunity to do a Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti reality TV show. Don't you think? Don't you think that would have been so great to watch that?
I mean, they've basically taken over the role of Cody and Brandy at this point for being completely hated.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting that when you told me about the TNT thing. There's a lot of really interesting stuff happening behind the scenes in AEW right now. With the merger, with all the different shit going on. You got Ring of Honor over there. You got all these contract disputes and shit going on. You got talent, behind the scenes just fucking having it out with guys on Twitter and just a lot of shit that just seems very like a fucking groundswell of just craziness going on in AEW right now, which is just kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it's definitely weird and interesting to see but I would be interested in seeing a kind of behind the scenes reality show. I might not watch it all the time, but it'd be definitely interesting to see kind of how the inner workings of how they run business with a lot of the creative stuff that they do, for sure.
Yeah, as long as they keep it legit and not like a fucking, like we were talking about, reality series type where it comes off super rigged and
like totally kind of
right,
for sure. The other thing quickly I'll mention here is obviously this coming Dynamite coming up this week. We will finally have the reveal of the Jokers. a lot of rumors, a lot of arrows pointing to the potential of Gargano and Candice LeRae being both the Jokers.
Okay.
A lot of interesting stuff going on with their Twitters and different things that they've been posting. So we're definitely going to keep that in mind when that pops up. One of the interesting ones I thought I kind of thought of recently was for the men's side would be what if they did Harry Smith Jr.
Okay. I haven't heard his name in a long time. Yeah, being in the tournament. Yeah,
maybe they just did a one-off with him in the tournament. They didn't really sign him. They just kind of have him in the tournament, and he just kind of there.
That'd be a cool move. That would be a cool move.
We'll see. I don't know. But how do you feel about the potential of the Gargano family?
Yeah, I mean it's been a waiting game for Gargano. You know, they just had their first child, and you know, given their time, and that's cool that they had the opportunity to, you know, kind of take the time after leaving NXT, and you know, it's just the more quality talent that keeps coming in to AEW, the more I just fear they're not going to get used right. It's just, you know, we've seen it with time and time again where it's just either guys getting buried on. We just saw it on this last Dynamite. There wasn't even a fucking House of Black segment, promo, anything. They weren't even out on the television. It was just like, you know, you got Swerve just out there, just kind of doing whatever. I don't even think Ethan Page was utilized on the show. There's just like so much talent that should be in these spots that these other guys are in, and they're not even getting opportunities. And now you're going to bring in another hella talented, you know, both of them. But, you know, Candice and hopefully, I mean, Candice, I think, you know, she has a huge spot, you know, that she could fill right off the bat because she's a you know, super great worker, and you know, she can go in there and have some really good matches and it really help bolster that women's division. But God, the talent that they have on the male side is just so fucking much talent. Like, it's ridiculous. So it's like, bringing in another one, like, just please, like, use this guy right. Like, it's Johnny fucking Gargano, man. Like, you have so many potential dream matches and shit that just, like, you can see, and I just hope they get used right. That's all I can say is that if it ends up being that way.
We're gonna get Gargano versus Cole in the finals of the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, wow. Well, so NXT Takeover presents Owen Hart's tournament.
Right. I mean, hey, I don't put it past them. It's possible that they.
Fuck yeah, no, they'll play on the past. Don't worry.
So we'll see what they do with that, and oh man, I mean, who knows? We'll have to wait till this week and see what happens. But you know, we'll see. Obviously, more added. Going to be added some more bloating. Something I want to mention quickly though is it's interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few years, because WWE let all these people go, and then now it feels like for WWE it feels like, okay, they've cut so many people, they're only taking the best of the best, or the best that they think. It's not a place where anybody can get into anymore, and it's like they're gonna let AEW on top of NXT 2.0 both be farming for them. It's like when these contracts expire for certain guys who go to AEW and make something of themselves and become something, and then WWE is like, okay, we see what they're doing here. We're excited to see, or we're interested to bring you back, you know, or bring, you know, a star from AEW into WWE who's been doing their thing, and we're going to give you an opportunity because we have more, you know, opportunity here now because we've got rid of so many people. And it's like AEW has no opportunity because there's so many people there now. It's just weird to see how things, happen, and who knows? We'll see.
Somebody, you can't put it past. We say all this stuff about Vince and all those guys, and you know how the older they're getting and they're out of touch, and it's like, you know, we you can't count them out for what they've done. Like you see the puzzle pieces, and it's almost like they put the puzzle before the pieces are even out there. You know, it's like they put it together, and I would not put it past Vince and all those guys. And you fucking know Tripp's still in his ear. He sees this shit, all the people that are out there. He knows what's going on, all these guys that are out. And, you know, you got Pritchard in there who fucking worked with MJF over in MLW and all this talent that he used to work with. So he has the people that he knows, and he's like, you know what? Okay, this guy's over here. He's doing some great stuff. You look at a Cody, you look at a McIntyre, you know, you look at all these guys that have been brought back in, and they've elevated themselves outside of WWE come back into WWE, and they're the biggest stars that, you know, in pretty much all of wrestling and definitely in WWE right now. So definitely wouldn't put it past them of being a ploy that they've used is, you know, okay, well, we're going to have this guy who's kind of giddy and he's like a goddamn human squirrel and he just jumps at every fucking opportunity. He's going to just fucking pick all these guys up and throw them in under his umbrella and then not know what to do with them. But some of the ones he does know what to do with, or some of the ones he knows that has a lot of talent, he's going to bolster them up, and then they're going to get pissed off, or they're going to get tired, or do this or do that, and then come over, and then we're going to, you know, utilize them and make them even bigger stars. So definitely wouldn't put it past WWE because we've seen it in the past for sure.
For sure, yeah. We'll see. Like I said, we'll keep track, and we'll see what happens in the future here with this. Yeah, quickly, we do have a meat slapper of the week.
Uh-oh.
You know where I'm going with this one? Do you know where I'm going?
I actually don't know where you're going with this one, to be totally honest with you.
A meat slapper of the week. So I actually, I completely forgot about this. I actually watched this match today, in my free time. It was about a 15 or 16 minute match that happened at New Japan's Capital Collision, which happened on Saturday. My boy Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii. They had a match at Capital Collision, and this was just a tribute. This was a complete masturbatory tribute to the 90s All Japan style of, you know, Kings Road wrestling. It was chops, strikes. You know, who can take the hits? Who can take the strikes? Who can, you know, take the suplexes and the uranagis and get right back up, and the clotheslines, and who's the biggest hard ass. And then, you know, I'm a sucker for those, you know, type of matches. So, you know, if you like those fatties out there slapping that meat, that's one, this is the one for you for the week. It's if you didn't see the one from last week, you should definitely check that one out. That one was a lot better than this one.
Right.
But this one was a good, solid, good wrestling match, and you know, it is what it is, man. It's just big.
We gotta get those weekly
meat
slappy. We gotta get some weekly meat slapper out of there for sure. Can't forget about
weekly meat slapper. So if you want to do your own ditty, if you want to do the the cringe of the week, man.
I could do that. Cringe of the week. Let's think. What could it be? Oh fuck, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Or we could just have just the fucking retards of the week, which is just Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin fucking murdering themselves for no fucking reason at all. Or no, here we go. The cringe or the dipshit of the week. Let's give it to JR for constantly saying the wrong goddamn place for the pay-per-view on fucking Dynamite.
Oh yeah.
How many fucking times did he say that Double or Nothing was going to be in Chicago? And then, you know, probably calling fucking Daniel Bryan for the 45th time because he just does that every fucking week. But Jesus Christ, get that motherfucker off the commentary. But I don't know. I'll have to find my own little ditty segment at the end of this thing. But yeah.
Yeah. Keep me updated. We'll add you in there at the end and have your own little ditty you want to talk about.
There we go.
Yeah, that is for us here at the Hardcore Casuals. We are the All Killer No Filler Wrestling Podcast. We are here with the episode 2, and this is the end here for us. And like I said, like, subscribe, give us some comments, let us know about my my great editing fucking wallpaper. What's it called? Thumbnail thing that I created.
Great shit. Yeah.
Nutso, and I got a little cool thing that I'm gonna do for all our thumbnails. So that should be a fun deal. But yeah, that is for us this week. Episode 2, and we are out.
See you guys.